Cue Dave and Ryan in 3, 2, 1.
It's Dave and Ryan's movie review.
Sponsored by the Plan Z Diet.
So in the final episode, or final segment, let's say, that work better? Yeah. Are you like Diplo on New Year's Eve? Did you take a hit of LSD before you came here? You're tripping?
My hand.
I don't know what to do with my hands. We're going to talk about a movie that turns 50 years old this year. Hard to believe that it does, but
No,
it
it's
does.
not.
And the
No, it's
question about it is, does it hold up? And I think I kind of know the answer to this one already. Talking about the movie Jaws, this came out in 1975. Steven Spielberg really hit it big and hit it out of the park with this one. Rated R, and this movie to this day still scares the bejesus out of people.
Oh yeah, it's there's no fancy CGI. We're not going to see the sharks swimming underwater and jumping up and doing backflips as they bite someone in half. This movie, the reason why it's so scary is it's more suspenseful.
Yes.
You hear it, but you can't see it, and that pretty much describes people's fear of water. You can't see very far down, so you don't know what's there.
And I would dare say that the main thing that people take away from this movie, it's the music.
Oh yeah.
And we've talked about John Williams to a fault about the music in this one because everybody knows that and knows what's coming when you hear it.
Okay. You play two notes.
Yes.
Everyone knows.
Everyone's
instantly
like,
what it
oh
is.
man, get out
It's
of the
not
water.
like, oh, what is that? I haven't heard that before. Yes, you have.
That's when you start yelling at the screen. Just
Yeah.
get out of the water.
Get out of the water!
Yeah.
Run!
It just doesn't. And growing up in Southern California did not help me
Oh, I'm sure.
when it came to this. When people would ask if I wanted to go to the beach,
You want to go swimming?
no, I like pools. I can see the bottom of a pool.
But still, you got that fear.
That's true.
Swimming across the pool, you're like, this is behind me!
But the thing about it is, there were a lot of different aspects of this movie that kind of, I think it's still, and I think we kind of come to that conclusion, that it does. It does hold up, this movie still. One of them was, at the time, it was groundbreaking technology, and we're talking about the animatronic Bruce, the dinosaur, or the great white shark.
when you say groundbreaking, it was broken most of the
Yeah,
time.
but at the time, it was groundbreaking technology.
Yeah, even though it was broken most of the time. Actually, I think that worked in their favor.
Yeah.
So they had to come up with different ideas and more creative ways to, basically to establish that fear.
Yes, and little known fact, or maybe you do know, trivia for you, if you're, listening out there. The shark in Finding Nemo is named Bruce as an homage to this movie.
Yep.
So, yeah, the animatronic, and you know what? Don't feel bad. When I went on the Universal Studio backlot tour, it didn't work that day either.
It worked when I was there.
It didn't work when I was there, but nothing worked that day. It was not a good day for Universal Studios in my eyes. But yeah, the technology of the animatronic shark was pretty big at the time. And I mean, I think the bad part about it was, if I can remember correctly, the bad part about it was stuff that they should have known when they were going in. We're like talking about how the seawater was corroding the parts of this shark and things like that.
Yeah, well, you got to remember, this is one of Spielberg's very first films.
Yes.
He was a very young director. He wasn't even there on the last day of filming because they were having so much problems, and he thought the crew was just basically gonna beat him up.
Yeah.
And that actually kind of became his tradition. He's never there on the last day of filming.
It worked. It worked if you're going to start that.
He's like, Jesus, take the wheel.
That's right. You're on your own. First AD, you got this. Another thing that this movie did, and I found this rather interesting, it made the industry rethink summer blockbusters. Now, this movie came out in June.
Yeah.
And before that, they did not want to release big movies in the summertime because nobody went to movies.
Yeah, because they were out doing things.
They were out going to the beach.
Yeah, they were at the beach, and then now they're not at the beach anymore.
See how that worked? No, you don't want to be at the beach. You want to be sitting in a safe movie theater.
Yeah.
Watching this movie. And it did, yeah, you don't hear big movies getting put out any other time of year now. They always have that window. I mean, Marvel has kind of pushed the window back. Marvel's kind of pushed the window back. It used to be like Memorial Day was always the start.
Yeah.
And Marvel's even gone into late April, early May now. And then, they have the big push at Christmas, but that's mostly for Oscar buzz and stuff like that. And they have some family movies that come out.
Yeah, because, the kids are home for the
kids
holiday.
are home. But, this was one of those movies that one of the first things that came out in the summer was a big summer release, and it worked. And they decided to stick with it on that one. Another one, great storytelling. This book was written by Peter Benchley, who wrote some other, The Island. He wrote The Beast. And believe it or not, it was released in 1974, and the film came out the next year. Carl Gottlieb was the guy that did most of the screenwriting for it. Benchley did some, but this Carl Gottlieb did the majority of the screenplay for it. The other thing was kind of based on a true story of a 4,500-pound great white shark that was caught by a fisherman off the coast of Long Island.
That's crazy.
That would make me quit going there anyway. I don't need to know anymore. We're good.
Yeah.
We are good. But I think, as you said, though, I think it delves into our deepest and darkest fears because there's such an unknown when it comes to the ocean and when it comes to the water. I've never been on one. I've always wanted to go on a cruise.
I've been on a cruise ship, but I've never been on a cruise.
And they say that the eeriest feeling is at night to look out and look at that water and look how dark it really is.
Oh, yeah.
And the fact that, yes, that is an unknown. You don't know what's down there. Plus, if you jump overboard, you're probably going to break every bone in your body when you hit.
It's a long way down.
It is a long way down, whether you think it is or not. But, it's just such this great unknown, and it does. The best movies, and I get into discussions with my kids about this all the time when it comes to movies. I am not a big slasher, gory movie fan.
Neither
I'm
am
not.
I.
If you can give me a great thriller or a suspenseful movie, I'm going to sit and I'm going to watch that one more than I'm going to watch the Gore
And we've
Fest.
seen some of those
Yes.
here doing this show. But, if we're talking about that, we have to talk about the acting.
Yes.
The acting in this movie was amazing.
Yes. You had Richard Dreyfuss, Roy Scheider.
Richard Dreyfuss in this movie was amazing.
He was. He was. Roy Scheider in this one was great. And then the gentleman that played Quint.
Yeah.
I can never remember his name, and I just looked this stuff up.
If I remember, I think he passed away like 2 years after this movie came out.
Yeah. And the funny thing about his character, too, and I was telling you this, there are people that say that the movie itself is, pretty suspenseful and pretty scary. But the scariest part of this whole movie has nothing to do with the shark. And it has everything to do with the scene where they're down below deck and they're talking about,
the Indianapolis.
They're sharing. It starts with them sharing scars.
Yeah, scars.
And then he tells that story about the USS Indianapolis, and that sends shivers, man. That will chill you to your bone.
That was a true story.
Yes, and so but that goes into storytelling once again. It's such a great movie from that aspect of the fact that this guy knew how to weave a tale and to tell the tale, and who can forget the line? You're going to need a bigger boat.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, that's just the way this thing goes. And we touched on it just a little bit. Musical score by John Williams. I don't think you will ever find anybody beyond John Williams that could do this kind of thing. And he just has that. When we did the whole thing on musical scores, he just has the ability to tap into that. And the minute that you hear something, you know exactly what it's from.
Yeah, it's him.
And with this one, the minute you hear it, like we said, get your butt out of the water.
Yeah.
Because it's not going to be good. It's not. Whatever happens to you once you hear the music, whatever happens to you, that's your fault. It really is. And so, to me, absolutely this movie holds up. There's not a doubt in my mind that it doesn't. And I don't know how you feel about it.
I definitely agree with you. This movie definitely holds up. 50 years later, you show it to someone, they're going to be horrified of the water.
Yes, and that was the whole point. And of course, we talked about the fact this was one of his earliest films. I think he had done Sugarland Express before this because that's where he hooked up with John Williams the first time. And then I believe Duel was his first movie, was Spielberg's first movie. The one Dennis Weaver where the guy in the truck just followed him around all day long.
Okay.
So you had Duel, you had Sugarland Express, and then you jump into this movie, and this movie really is what set up Steven Spielberg's career. and
Oh, yeah.
put him on a trajectory that is unstoppable even to this
For the
day.
stars.
That's right. I mean, and the awards and the acclaim would come later, but this one is what got him in the door and it got him started.
It's weird that the guy who brought us Jaws also brought us E.T.
Yes, and Gremlins.
Yeah. Oh gosh.
We just watched that the other night, just cause.
Did you watch? You've seen the second one, right?
I unfortunately have.
It's so bad.
Yeah, but no, he brought you that. He brought he's responsible for so many things. I mean, does Indiana Jones get made without him?
No,
Probably not. I mean, it was
And
really
it's
George
not-
Lucas's plan.
Not just directing, producing now too.
Produced his butt off, this guy. And anything, I believe he produced some of the original trilogy of Star Wars. His name is tied to one or two of them, I believe.
Yeah.
I believe Empire he's tied to. I'm not 100% sure. But that all comes from this movie. He doesn't get that without these movies. He doesn't even get his foot in the door when it comes to talking to George Lucas without these movies.
Yeah.
And if you wanted to watch about Steven Spielberg, have you seen Meet the Fabelmans yet?
No.
Which is loosely supposed to be his life story. It's pretty good. There's a scene in there where he goes because he decides he wants to be a director. He wants to be in the movie business, and every day he goes to the lot and he wants to meet who at the time was one of the biggest movie directors in cinema, as John Ford.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he keeps going to his office and wants to meet John Ford. He keeps wanting to meet John Ford. And it just goes into that whole thing of careful meeting your idols.
Yeah.
Because the scenes with him and the guy that plays John Ford are fantastic. But it gives him the ideas and the gumption that he needs to become that. So, yes, Jaws holds up after
Yes, it
50
does.
years. I can't barely stand up after 52, but Jaws holds up after 50 years. I will take that. All right, so that's going to do it for us. We'll be back next week talking more movies, having more fun. And until then, go see a movie.